This is the Sacred Rose Temple, and I am your host, Colette Corcoran. We're all feeling the energies of this month quite strongly. I think that working with people in the groups and online, I often see this general pattern, which is what I share here. But February is turning out to be quite a difficult month for us all. And why is that? We know that astrologically there is Chiron on the North Node in Aries, and that Chiron, whenever we mention that word, if we have even the tiniest bit of insight about astrology, which is me, by the way, that it brings up the wounded healer. And especially for me, whenever I see it mentioned within astrology, and there's many women, even in this group of mine, the Sacred Rose Temple, that have experience in astrology, and I read their articles, I always just feel it because it's going on in my own world. And for me, Chiron is really about wounds and pains and traumas and hurts in a child, all these things that made us as people and still impact us as adults, and we still function from them inner wounds. And that's been my lifelong journey, really, to want to heal these inner wounds, to find ways to calm my nervous system, to be more at peace and to be more enjoying of life, and to, be connected to something bigger that isn't just the mundane. And I recognize myself as a wounded healer. I have a huge part of me that is working in the healing industry and in the healing world, and want to intuitively help people as well as myself. So this is going to be a tough month for me, I know, and it already has been. But as we move forward from the 19th, when those meet, when the North and Chiron met, that we're going to have this kind of advancement in feeling. And there's going to be lots of pain coming up: physical, emotional, energetic, spiritual. And we'll do all we can to avoid it or run away from it. We might begin to justify it by saying, oh, this is the way I am because I read this article or because of this. And we need to not do that. We need to not come into any justification or explanation. We just need to come into feeling. We need to understand that the way we feel is absolutely paramount to how we behave, and that we want to address the feeling and move the feeling out of the body. So allow it to dissipate as we hold it, as we bring it into consciousness. We need to understand that feeling isn't weakness at all. It's the nature of being human being and feeling the wounds within us, especially ones that feel like they never heal. And knowing that every time we come to bring attention to it and to see it and to feel it, that we are in fact touching with a healing balm. So those of us that are really feeling this, I want you to know that now's not really the time to do any acting upon this, only to nurture it, to support it, to ask it what it needs. Much as we wouldn't um, try to say, you know, use a hammer with a broken arm. With this wounding that's coming up, don't make any decisions yet. Like, those decisions are going to be based in the wounding. Those decisions are going to be based on an old pattern that's coming up and an old behavior. So sit with all that's coming up, knowing that this point of struggle is going to be released very soon, because you're being asked to look at it. Why is this coming up? What needs healing? How am I feeling? Is it a traumatic childhood that's still hounding me? Is it a chronic illness that I'm still dealing with that I've not been able to heal? And to see that the wounding and the pain under that is surfacing for our consciousness, because it wants to integrate, it wants to be seen, it wants to be felt, it wants to be moved. So be patient with yourself, and be very compassionate, and notice that others will be going through this as well. And so not being triggered and then projecting on them, or feeling that you need to over explain to people. Just share I'm not really feeling great at the moment. Lots is coming up for me, and I need some space, or I just like to, mooch on this, or I'd like to talk about it, because I find that people don't really talk about when they're hurting and what's hurting them. We've moved away from that, and that's when circles and groups are really beneficial, because we're able to, you know, help move it through by speaking it out, and that works for some of us. So let this all come up, let it all move through you. Don't try to repress and depress it, and stay in the inner action, and stay with the feeling. And I promise this will start to move. And as spring comes in, we're going to feel some healing and some clearer insights about where we need to move next, what we need to do, where we need to go. So I hope that's helpful for those of you that are really feeling this at the moment. Sending you lots of love, and bye for now.